Hi and welcome to a new episode of the Crochet Along With Me vlog. In this monthly series of videos, I invite you to pick up a crochet project and to join me while I show you what I've been making during the past month, what projects I finished, what I started, and I invite you to share with me what you're making in the comments. In every episode, I read a comment from the previous vlog. So let's see. Last month we got a comment from Rosemary Edwards 3293. Love your lacy dress. I would love to make a shorter version, tunic length, to wear over leggings. And I finished the dress in the meantime, so I can show you the full length. It's inside out. And it came out a bit too long because I wanted to use all of the colors here in the rainbow, and I didn't realize that it would go down below my knees, so now I want to cut it up. It's too long for me. I think a tunic length would be very nice as it is, but I want to cut it to leave a skirt, so I will keep, I think, this much length. Then I will unravel this lacy bit here and I will work straight in simple stitch about this much, or however much I need to get to my waist, and then I will reattach the skirt portion by gathering it up a bit because it's much wider at this length than my waist, so it will have a bit of volume and it will become a wearable project. Because I used this cotton yarn that has 170 meters per 50 grams, it came out quite heavy, so in a tunic length I think it would work out well with this kind of yarn, but for a dress in the future I will use gradient yarn or another yarn that has 400 meters per 100 grams or 200 meters per 50 grams. So it needs to be much lighter than this one because the weight of it also pulls and makes the dress longer. And I will put a photo here or a short video of what this looks like on me, but the experiment didn't pan out. But it's not a problem. I will cut it up and remake it, and then I will use it. I didn't do this already this month because I kind of got tired of this project. I really put a lot of work into it and I was a bit disappointed when it didn't work out as expected, but that's life. This is how crochet projects work. You never know what you're getting when you design something new. You need to do something for the first time in order to have experience for the next project. Maybe if I'd made a plainer fabric without all the lace, then it would have been quite shorter. I don't know. So this was the main project that I finished this month. As I told you, I'm quite tired, so I didn't really make a lot of progress on other projects. I will share what I have been doing. First, some finished projects. This month I published 3 patterns that were in the queue to be published. This bandana that I've shown you before, the knit one, so it's the Caribbean Sea bandana. The mohair capelet that I made last year, and the pattern was almost ready. I had to do a bit of work on it and now it's published. The increases in this one are not on the edges of each wedge, so you have to pay attention to the increases. But it's a very lightweight capelet and it's perfect for the summer. And I also published the Larimar capelet that we tested early this year. If you remember it from previous vlog episodes, I finally put in all the changes from the tester feedback and I published it. This one has more rows in the pattern, but I ran out of yarn when making the sample, so I didn't make all 100 rows. But if you want to make it longer, you can. You have some tester projects there that used more rows, and you can see what that looks like. I also started using up some of my cotton, and I made a very simple washcloth. I like to use these in the kitchen and they get a lot of use. I have some more patterned ones from last year and I decided to make a few more. This is just a honeycomb stitch, very basic, and just a plain beige yarn. And I had more scraps, so I decided to make a two-color honeycomb stitch. So I had the pink and white, and then I said, why shouldn't I make this into a pouch? And I started to line it, and I took photos of the process, and this side will have another crocheted piece in the dark pink. But then I realized that my tutorial wasn't going to be quite so good, so maybe I will make another one. But yeah, I got stuck on sewing the zipper to the top part. I will finish it at some point. I thought it would be a cute idea for a design for, you know, those little purses that kids these days like to wear from the early 2000s, something like that. And this is just the honeycomb stitch made with two colors, and you change color at the end of the row, not at the beginning, and it creates this houndstooth pattern. It's quite small, but I like it a lot. So if you want to make it bigger, you can use thicker yarn, but you will also get a thicker fabric. The intention was to make a blog post about this with the tutorial on how to attach the lining, but since I made a bad choice here with the lining, I don't know if I will publish this one. I'll see. So what it is just a rectangle that's put in half, and then you sew a triangle here, and that makes the bottom flat, and that way you will have a volume inside the pouch. So it will have a triangular side here where I will add the dark pink wedge, and it will also have a cord thing here also covered in yarn so that it can be worn on the wrist. Now, since I haven't finished anything else, I'm going to show you what I've been working on. You've seen this one before. I just unraveled 1.5 feathers because I had made a mistake in one of them. So now I have 7.5 feathers. I'm not really making progress on this because it's not very engaging, but I will try to finish it so I can publish the pattern. The pattern is written up and is being tested by a knitter right now. And when I got the flu last month, I kind of stopped working on this one. It's also knit, and this is the knit version of the fiery opal shawl, and I got to row 99. You can see the pattern. It's actually a very narrow shawl for now, or capelet. I still have more than half of the yarn to use up, and I undid a section of, I don't remember, about 10 rows I undid to make the decreases here symmetrical. probably can't see it, but in the fiery opal shawl I could get away with not making this symmetrical, but this is different. So knitting has its own quirks, and yeah. So at about this length I unraveled a bunch of rows, and then I decided to make things like this, and this will make it more complicated when I write up the pattern, but oh well, at least it looks much cleaner now. So I haven't actually worked on this very much during the past month, but you can see the color change in the yarn, so it's getting darker. And I don't even want to move this project because it will, the cake will collapse entirely, so I keep it in this bowl. I like to use these sugar bowls, candy bowls. I have no idea what they are. I found them in a thrift market. They're quite heavy. I don't think it's crystal glass, but it's beautiful, and they keep my balls of yarn on the table, and they're not as big as a yarn bowl, but they're good enough for yarn cakes, balls that I wind by hand, and even small yarn balls. They're safe in there and they don't move around because they're so heavy. So I love them and I use them a lot. I have 6, I think, of this model from that thrift market, and I have a few more in a different lighter model. So I'm not going to start another project in knitting, at least until I'm finished with either one of these, or at least both of them, because it takes a lot of mental capacity to make these projects, which doesn't happen with Tunisian crochet. It's interesting. It's much easier to make a Tunisian crochet project than a knit one, which is why because I wasn't feeling so great and I needed something to keep my hands busy. I started a cardigan. This is what I have so far. I know it doesn't look so great in this light, but up close the yarn looks very pretty. I liked the big bowl of yarn when I saw it in the local post office. They also sell some yarn and some other stuff, and I saw this and I was it would be nice in a shawl, and then I saw that there were 2 and I bought them, and I'm now making a cardigan. And the construction is very similar to this capelet, so I'm using the same rate of increases as in the capelet, but I'm making 12 repeats. So the neckline goes all around my neck, and yes, this is big, but I also have an overlap here. So in the front there is this button band that overlaps, so the neckline isn't quite so big anymore. I think it will be a very nice winter cardigan. It's sock weight yarn, so the pattern will be for sock weight, and the nice thing about this kind of construction is that I am able to write up the different sizes. If you look at this project, I only increased up to here, but for the bigger sizes I will just increase up to the maximum length of the yoke, and then everyone will have a nice start to the sleeves and the body, and not too low. So I don't know if you've seen some other patterns for round yokes. Sometimes the armhole starts under the bust because they need to have enough increases for the fabric, or sometimes they have puckering because they increase too fast lower. on the body, and that's not how bodies work. So when you make a yoke, you want to increase here until you reach the shoulders, and then you can increase slower. So you increase fast up to here and then increase slower depending on how much your body changes. But you don't want to add a lot of increases in this area where the difference is quite small in circumference, I mean. If you measure around your body at this point and you measure around your body at this point, there will not be such a big difference. So I hope I will be able to make a pattern for this that works well for the different sizes. So this is all simple stitch minus the neckline, ribbing, and here on the front where you will have the buttons. This is ribbing with Tunisian reverse purl stitch, and the rest is simple stitch. But once I have this down as a pattern, then I will be able to replace this part here with a lace, for example, or I can replace this part here with a lace, or with a fabric that keeps increasing to make a swing style cardigan. Like the swing shape apparently is a term, and it means flowing and growing towards the hem. The more you know. So that's the plan, because I really like the idea of mixing and matching. So you could use this as a template and one of the capelet patterns, and you can take the lace from the capelet and input it into the cardigan. So you would have a fancy lacy cardigan. But first, this one needs to be done, and I need to write up the pattern, and I will take my time doing it, because hurrying doesn't help anyone. And I've been hurrying for the past few months, and I'm tired of that. If you're wondering what this yarn is called, this is called Meine Wolle from Prolana Magic Dream color. And I have one more whip to show you, because this one was taking so long to work up, and I was cleaning out my wardrobe and I found a dress that I made last year from some yarn I had set aside a few years ago to make a cardigan out of. I never wore that dress after making it, so I unraveled the yarn, and I still had one ball of yarn left, and I decided to make another cardigan like the one that I'm wearing. This one is thicker yarn version of a cardigan that was designed by Kristen Omdahl. I hope I'm saying the name right. And it was one of my very first crochet projects from her book, and I had made this one from sock yarn. It's the same shape. So you have a hexagon for the back. I don't think you can see it. And then you have part of a hexagon with two triangles taken out for the front. And then you add the sleeves, and you add some lace around the neckline. This is not the lace that was in the pattern. This is the other lace, the one that I'm jasmine lace pattern. You can actually find this on my blog, and on YouTube I made a tutorial for this lace. So in the pattern you have a much taller lace. The thing is, when I made this, I didn't know that you're not supposed to use sock yarn for lace because it's so elastic, but oh well. I learned a lot from this project, and I haven't really worn it a lot because it's quite thin. I actually wore it when I lived in Romania, and I made this one from some yarn that I bought here in Germany the first time I came for with a scholarship, and I bought some cheap yarn, and this is acrylic. And the thing with acrylic lacy projects is that you can't wear them in the summer because they're too warm, and you can't wear them in the winter because they're too cold, because you have these huge holes. So I never wear this. Okay, I'm wearing it today, but I rarely, if ever, put this on. So I decided to make one from cotton yarn, which will be good for cooler summer days. And actually it's a mix of cotton and acrylic yarn that I've had for at least 4 years. So 4 years ago I decided to make a round yoke sweater with trebles, I think, and that didn't happen, but I made this using the same mat that I wanted to use for the sweater made with trebles. This is Tunisian crochet, so linked treble stitches. And yes, I've been saying since then that I will write up a pattern for this. I haven't done it yet. I don't know if I will do it. It stresses me out to think about it because I said that I would, but I don't know if I ever will. Maybe. If all goes well with this one, I will probably have the motivation to write that one up. So that didn't work out, and then I made a knit project from this yarn, and then I unraveled it. So I'm just going for a very simple pattern. It's a granny pattern. It's not a square, it's a hexagon, but it's not the hexi-cardi pattern. It's just an actual hexagon shape. And then one of the sides, front, is ready. So this will get sewn to the other piece, and I will leave space here for the armhole, which will be half of the armhole measurement here for me. And then this will be like this, like this. So this is a front, what you can see on this pink one, and there will be a tie, and the ties are used to tie this together. So there will be 2 of these overlapping on the front. It's a very interesting construction, and I liked it ever since I discovered it in Kristen Omdahl's book. And yeah, as you can see in the pink one, I left some of this unseamed, so it's like this, so that there is space in the back for the back neckline. Ideally, I want to write up a pattern for this one and to grade it up to all the sizes that you know me for, because the pattern in the book that I made this from had very few sizes and quite small. So if I wanted to use the yarn recommended in the pattern, I probably would not be able to make a project for my size as I am now. The sock yarn was thicker than what was recommended in the pattern, so I used one of the bigger sizes and it came out okay. And this one, I don't remember, I just made it big enough to fit me. Yeah, the nice thing about this pattern is that you can just add rounds or rows for as many times as you need to get your size. This will probably be a bit big now that I look at it, but it is what it is. And the nice thing about it is that because you have the ties here, it's very easy to adjust to your body, to tie it at the waist and to make it comfortable. Even if one day you feel more bloated or smaller, you can adjust how closely you tie this, and it's much more comfortable than a garment where you have the buttons. So that's my one regular crochet project at the moment. I still have to make the second front and the sleeves. The sleeves are so easy to make. You just attach them after you sew these together. You just keep working in the round and you can decrease. For example, for this one I made decreases, as you can see, to make the sleeve fitted, and I prefer that. So this will have sleeves in a grading pattern, just like this. These are not actually granny clusters, they're treble clusters because I wanted them to be easy to make and for them to go fast. But you can probably figure out the math to make it with regular granny clusters as well. And yeah, the sleeves will be the same. For this pattern, you can see the sleeves are not the same as the main pattern, but each design should be unique, right? So I'm not copying from the book. The last time I opened that book was in 2016, so I'm just using the construction principles from the book, meaning the hexagons and pieces of hexagon. But if you want to make this one, I will put the cover of the book here on the screen so you can find it if you want to. It's a nice book. You can probably find it online. I think that's it for works in progress. Plans for next month. I don't have a lot. I am planning to go to Berlin, maybe to visit the Sparwolle shop and see if we can find some yarn for a new project together. I am thinking of a regular crochet top or dress, but I have to swatch some before I go there and to make a plan. Mainly I want to finish what I started, publish a few more of those patterns that are in the queue. Maybe start testing the red capelet. I'm calling it the Ruby Phoenix capelet because it is red like rubies and has the big rounded feathers. And yeah, we'll be continuing testing this one. This shawl pattern is in testing right now. We just started a few days ago. Ideally, I would like to have energy to write up a sweater pattern that I want to start testing, but honestly I'm quite stuck on the lace here in the front, how to write it up for the different sizes. So I don't know if I will write detailed instructions on how to make that lace for each size because it's too complicated to write out, but the lace is very simple, so I'm quite stuck there. But I would like to get started on testing that sweater as well, so we can have the pattern ready during autumn so people can make their own sweaters. It's made with thicker yarn, so I hope that testing will go faster. And yeah, I don't want to make big plans because I'm not very motivated at the moment to make things, so I will just lay low for a while, and yeah, if I find the energy to edit some videos and publish them, if not, I will leave them for September. It's not like anyone misses the things that I don't put out. You don't know what you're missing out on if I don't share, right? I've actually been writing some blog posts about what it's like to be a crochet designer that's autistic and ADHD on my Patreon. The posts are public, so you don't have to become a member or even a free member. You can read them if you're curious. I will leave a link in the description. And yeah, I want to write more of those because they feel good. So please let me know in the comments what you're working on, what's upcoming for you, if you're going to any yarn festivals. Apparently that's a thing. Not here. I don't know of any. But if you live somewhere where there are yarn festivals, share with me what you're looking forward to seeing, who you're looking forward to meeting. And I will see you in a month with the next episode. Until then, take care, and I hope you have a nice and fruitful August. Bye!